Save the Semantics, episode 101. It is February 4th, 2020. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I just kind of ramble on about shit that doesn't really matter to anyone else but myself. It's getting close to dark now. Well, actually, it's not too bad, which is why I wanted to record. Sometimes I plan out these really poorly at the worst times possible, right when it's getting dark and cold. And right now it's a little dark and a little cold, but it's not the worst thing ever. Today was relatively busy. I had an exam. I don't think I did very well on it. That put me in a bit of a shitty mood, but I got out of it quickly. Just concentrated on other stuff. But yeah, I always feel like in a lot of classes, the first exam is never really the most. It's not what. It's not what reflects the rest of the course for me. Like, I've done poorly. Like for my tax course that I took last year, I did incredibly poorly on that first exam. So that's kind of how I feel about this one right now. I really felt like I should have done a lot better. I think I should have studied a little more. So now, with that behind me, I just know now how to. I'm thinking now how the best way to kind of prepare for that class. I'm just going to extra things, taking the extra step and all that kind of stuff. So it's all good. Nothing too big of a deal in my sense. I always just kind of go into like a mini panic mode just because I know that that one class can really, it really depends. It really relies, or my GPA and just my graduation and all that lies heavily on like one class, So it can be a lot of pressure, Yeah, I just wish I put a little more work into it. I was just kind of nonchalantly going about it. In a sense, I could have started a little earlier than that, but I think I'm a little more prepared for the next couple of exams in regards to that class. So I think I'll be all right. If I pass with a C, I'll be fine with it. I mean, I won't be like happy, but it'll be like okay, it's all right. But let's hope it doesn't get to that point. Outside of that, was it been a week or so, more or less? I'm kind of struggling to talk right now. I don't know why. I guess because it's a little cold out. Yeah, it's suddenly got incredibly cold. Like the last few days. Like it started on Sunday. Sunday night was like freezing cold. I was out working, so I was like out and about, and the winds were pretty heavy. I was getting pretty teary-eyed from the cold and whatnot. So I mean, I don't mind it. It's nice. It's still nice weather though. It's it's cold, but it's wintry. It's still wintry, I was kind of like, I still kind of want it to be that type of weather where it's kind of where I can have a lot of like blankets and that kind of thing. That's just sort of the way I like things, because once like spring rolls around, like it's gonna get warmer, and so I can't really wear as many layers, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. And that means I'm gonna have to like update my wardrobe, which I already have to. I already have to update my wardrobe. I feel like I already have a bunch of old shit. Like I rarely go like clothes shopping. Like I mean in like comparison to like the frequency of other people, So that's probably gonna change in a little bit, once I start working and that kind of thing. But right now it's pretty stagnant. Like I buy maybe like a piece of clothing like every few months maybe. And I kind of just I try my best to rely on what I have, try to work it in different kinds of ways. I'm not really sure how else to go about it. Like I've never been the most like stylish person. I've sort of started to kind of develop a little bit of style, a little bit over time, I've mentioned that, like, in a previous podcast where I was just kind of like thinking about like how I should go about picking my clothing and that sort of thing. And that's sort of just a gradual process for me. Like, it's not something that comes to be by like nature. It's just like, okay, this kind of works, you know. Most of my stuff are like, okay, it kind of works, you know. It's functional. If it's not functional, get it out of there. Usually that's what I put it over. I usually put it over practicality over appearance most of the time, you know, but whatever. If I can make it both, that would be kind of nice. Um, that's if I'm being, that's if I'm lucky. Um, Outside of school's been, it's been there. I think I am feeling like I'm kind of sort of getting to the point where I'm like, ooh, how much more school can I take? you know, it's not really, I'm not burnt out yet. Like, I can still go a little bit, but if I take any more workload, I feel like it might be a bit too much for me. I could definitely handle, or I could have definitely handled a lot more, like in junior year and that kind of thing. In comparison to this year, but like if I got like the same workload as I got from like, you know, sophomore or junior year, I definitely wouldn't really be up to it for sure. I'm definitely reaching the end of my line here in terms of like academics and that kind of thing, you know. Of course I intend to keep on, learning in regards to like my career and that kind of thing, but in terms of being in like a classroom setting and taking tests and that kind of thing, I'm kind of getting there, you know. I'm kind of getting there, and it's like it's right there, but like I just need to kind of trudge forward. It's sort of the same. I'm sort of like in the same mindset as I was like senior year of high school. Senior year of high school, I was like pretty done. At least that's sort of what it felt like. I was pretty, you know, I was thoroughly done with high school and all of its kind of shenanigans and that kind of thing. So I was just kind of ready to move on to the next thing. And that's sort of where I'm at right now. Maybe not as much as I was in high school. I think in high school I was a little more just kind of sick of it in a sense. Like it was just, it's just sort of that 4-year cycle. Sort of ready to move on, you know. And yeah, I think I've talked about this quite a bit just in terms of like academics and that kind of thing. But I think it's like in terms of some of the classes, I'm like, okay, I have some interest in it. The topics are kind of interesting and that kind of thing. But like others, it's just like I just don't. It's hard to like be kind of passionate about that kind of thing. I mean, it's not really that unique of a sentiment to be like, I don't really care that much about this class. I'm just taking it to get through with it for the units or for graduation or whatever, you know. But I try my best to actually kind of care about the individual classes that I take in some way, shape, or form. At least that's what I've sort of had. That's sort of the mentality that I've had since like freshman year, is just trying to be, you know, take what I can from the classes and that kind of thing. I mean, that's sort of the approach that I'm sure that, the university would want to have. I mean, I don't know if I'm not like the ideal student by any means, of course, but, I've tried my best to try to, take in as much as I can and carry it with me forward, like I've definitely like learned a lot of interesting things. I've learned some, I've learned about cultures, customs, countries, religions that I never would have if I haven't taken those specific classes and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm happy that it's transpired the way it has, even with some of its shortcomings, like, in regards to like academics and the school and that kind of thing. Of course, there's a lot of issues with like the current university system. I don't think I really have to go in super in depth as to what those issues are and that kind of thing. Well, maybe I'll expand on it a little bit, but From my own personal experience, it's been all right. And I'll probably do I'll probably just be talking about the same thing for the next few months until I graduate, and then I could be like, you know what, it was like a solid experience. And I feel like I'm not really gonna have that much of a change in opinion from right now till when I graduate. I'll probably have the same feeling about it. No, but it's crazy though. It's already February and shit. My birthday's coming up in about a week or so. So that's kind of exciting in some ways. I'll be turning 22, which is not necessarily the most significant like birthday, like in comparison to 21. Even when, even last year when I turned 21, it wasn't like that crazy. I think I just had like a pretty solid time then. I probably intend to kind of do a similar thing this year as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's not really. I just like. I just hope I don't take my like birthdays for granted either. Like I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. Maybe I mean, in some ways it is. Like maybe right now it's not as big as big of a deal as it was beforehand. Just because it's not the most like significant age or whatnot, but still, like I still want to take it. I still want to take it into consideration. Changing of the years and that kind of thing. Because like age is kind of, age is crazy, man. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm just saying that I'm gonna be turning 21 next week, so I'm looking forward to that. In terms of other things that have sort of kept my attention or sort of been lurking at the back of my mind, I've kind of just, yeah, in terms of like just watching shows, movies, my voice is cracking. I haven't really done anything, like I haven't really committed to like a show or anything like that recently. I've kind of sort of had my fill of anime for a little bit. I sort of went through just a complete like series after series, so I might take a little break. But maybe something on Netflix. I'm not really sure yet. There hasn't really, at least recently, there hasn't really been anything that's really caught my eye or anything that I've been motivated to kind of start or get into. So something to consider. Music. What have I been listening to? Just sort of the usual kind of thing. I really like, and I talk about this quite a bit, like how I sort of go through like cycles of music that I really like to listen to, like albums that I just listen to over and over again. And there are still some albums that I do that for, but yeah, right now I'm just kind of re-listening to the things that I've already listened to. Which is, just fine, I guess. I try to, vary it a little bit. I remember when I was like, I think I was like middle school maybe, because I had like a older iPod. It wasn't like a touchscreen iPod. It was like it was the one with like the circle in the middle, so you use that to kind of like choose for like menu selection and that kind of thing. So I had that, and I had a lot of like older songs, like it was like my mom's like 80s CDs and stuff like that, and then my songs that I downloaded off of like iTunes for like $1. That's kind of an interesting way to do things now. Do people still like? I'm just kind of curious if people still like buy songs like that. Like I'm sure there's people that still buy CDs. Like I know that's still a thing, but like even on like iTunes, like purchasing an album is not really, I feel like, too much of a thing anymore. At least just, I think maybe the last album I bought was like Saba's Care for Me, and that was like a year and a half ago maybe, or like a couple years ago. When did that album come out? It was like 2018, I think, is when it came out. So that was like the last album I bought just because I wanted to support the artist and that kind of thing. But in terms of, anything else, like there's no need, right? Like if you have Apple Music, you're good to go. There's really no, you don't gotta pay for that kind of thing. If I'm gonna my music plan is gonna change once I graduate. Like right now, for me, I get Apple Music for $5 a month, which is a pretty solid deal. You get a pretty good array of music. But that's gonna change to 10, just because like you're not a student anymore. You should be able to afford this, which is a misconception, but it is what it is. So yeah, I just I think I still probably will use it for the time being. I'm just like I'm thinking like, is it gonna be worth the $10? Because I don't, like I said, I don't listen to like that much stuff, and I also don't really use like a lot of the other features that are on Apple Music. Like I don't listen to the radio shows. I don't use like the radio stations. I use it once in a while if I want to try to discover new music and that kind of thing. But like the discover, like that function in itself is not super great. To try to find like new music, just because like it's kind of limited. So if there's like a niche artist that I just recently discovered, and off of that I want to try to find new artists, like the playlist is like pretty limited. It's like maybe like 20 songs, which is not a whole lot. So I think that's like the one thing I wish they could improve on. I think that Spotify does like a better job of like introducing new music to you in some ways. I used to use Spotify, at least like the free version, and it felt like there was a little more variety in terms of like the radio stations and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. It really depends. And the issue also is like, this is my own personal issue, but like in regards to like my phone, my audio jack is kind of fucked up. Like like I can't connect my headphone to listen to this anymore, which is really stupid. So like if I want to study and stuff, I usually just go to like YouTube and like just kind of shuffle shit, like I don't know, lo-fi kind of thing, like everyone else, just because that sort of helps me study and that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if it's. We'll see if it's worth it. Like I want to try to. I really do want to listen to a lot of music, but I just don't. Yeah, I just don't know where to like start and that kind of thing. Like I could use the radio station function, I guess. I just wish there was like a better way of like curating new music that I might be interested in. So that's that. And I haven't really. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just kind of go through like a mini drought of sorts when it comes to just listening or watching that kind of thing. Usually I'm like stuck watching YouTube because it's just easier. There's not that commitment, as I've talked about. I've what else have I been doing? I've just kind of it's been interesting. Like this week has been kind of, well, I mean, I guess it's Tuesday right now, so nothing's really been happening recently, but like last week was kind of interesting for me just cuz like I had time on my hands, but I also had to like take into consideration that the exam was coming up, so like I didn't really know how to like allot my time very well. I definitely should have focused more time into studying and that kind of thing, but it is what it is. Twitter's awful, man. Twitter's just kind of an awful place. It's hard to like I try to use Twitter as sort of in the same way that I use like Instagram and Reddit. Instagram has kind of just become like a meme hub for me and like my other friends, just because it's just there's a lot of funny shit on there. But like Twitter is just there's funny stuff on there for sure, but it's just hard to like sift through all this other garbage, And I get it; it depends on who you follow and that kind of thing. But like you also sometimes get like recommended stuff based on like what other people follow, or the people that you're following, follow like this person, and then they might have kind of like a controversial opinion or whatever, and it pops up in your feed, and you're like, I didn't want to see that today. That's just kind of depressing to think about, right? Like, I get it. It's just like you got to think about, just open your mind, I guess, open up your perspective, broaden your perspective, I guess is what you could say. But like, it's hard to kind of sift through when your intentions are like, okay, I'm gonna see some funny shit on here, and then what you get is anything but funny, right? So I don't know. It's an interesting place for sure. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but there are some pretty funny some pretty funny content on there for sure. Reddit too, like Reddit, like it's hard. It really puts you in a certain mindset once in a while. Like at least Reddit does. Like just in terms of like, and I guess this goes for any other social media site or like news outlet or whatever. But like it's really like if if you go to like the front page or whatever, or my front page at least, it's always just like the worst shit. It's always just this negative stuff, and it's just kind of hard to kind of get through it. Like I understand why people sometimes are like, I just need to, I just need to delete my social media for a little bit. I'm gonna delete Instagram, and then I'll get back to it onto it pretty soon. It's like you don't. I just think it's funny. I don't know. I guess it's like to let people know, like if they want to contact them, that they can't contact them through Instagram and that kind of thing. But I don't know. Like it is hard to avoid for sure. Like it's just everywhere. There's really only like 4 sites that I go to, 3-4 sites that I go to, and when they're kind of curating the same type of content, it's hard not to like be in like a shitty mood after seeing all that stuff. So yeah, I try to limit it to the best of my abilities, just because like I don't know, it's definitely not good for you. That's for sure. And also just so I could like stay off my phone. I try like I want to try to do stuff outside of just like internet kind of shit too. So that's that. And that's going to do it for the podcast today. You have been listening to Save the Semantics. Signing off.